It is 2 p.m. Brussels time. Good afternoon. A warm welcome to everybody from sunny Brussels. We are happy that you joined the second session of FECC's Digital Days, during which you will get deep insights into how digital transformation, especially AI, can unlock new opportunities. I am Gerhard Albrecht, FECC Responsible Care and Logistics Manager, and glad to moderate today's session. You know, yesterday we had the first session, which was a success, and today we continue with a new set of speakers. But before I go in medias res, I would like to provide a brief portrait of FECC. Very briefly, we cover all chemical segments, all company sizes, all chemical supply chain functions, and we are defending especially the interests of SMEs, not of family-owned businesses. In total, 1,600 members via direct membership or our national associations, spread all over Europe, as you can see on the map on the right side. All these points there. As you know, we are based in Brussels, in the heart of Europe, in the very center of the so-called Brussels bubble, what we feel right now. There where you find all the EU institutions. Right now we have a European summit. This means huge traffic jams, helicopters flying over our heads, but we keep calm even during crisis. And I would now also say something about our engine room, and this engine room is actually operating at the level of various working committees, among them circular economy, responsible care, international trade, SHE, and so on and so forth. In a nutshell, due to the huge diversity in our community, chemical distributors represent the key element in all chemical value chains. The list of functions here on display is not exhaustive. Warehousing, of course, reformulating, logistics, repackaging, and so on and so forth. But before we start, a couple of housekeeping remarks. Firstly, as usual, this webinar is organized in the framework of European antitrust laws. That is, no talks about prices, markets, transportation rates, and so on. All this is strictly forbidden, but you also have some do's there. I think most of you are familiar with this, and it goes without saying. So I can move on to the next housekeeping remark, which is also very important. Secondly, we would like to make this session as interactive as possible. You see here on screen where to push the Q&A button, enabling you to type a question in a box. The submitted questions will be dealt with in a come first served order. And I recommend you that you do not wait until the end of the webinar, because then we have a specific Q&A session, something like 10-15 minutes. Please do not wait, but just shoot out your question as soon as it comes to your mind. Already during the different presentations. And as this is set up as follows, we have four presentations, and then a panel discussion, and then the audience can also submit questions, as explained right now. Let me now introduce our speakers. We have an impressive lineup of 5 distinguished speakers, real experts from 4 companies here on screen. From left to right, Highland Kaplan, here from Knowde. He is the head of solutions and strategy. Then we have Markus Klan, founder and president of Vector.on. In the middle, we have Chintan Bomia and Wouter Jongeper. Chintan is the product manager of Agilis, and Wouter is the vice president Europe of Agilis. Last but not least, on the right side, we have Bojan Bujnak, who is the CEO and owner of Benz Consulting. Great to have you all on board. And now, without further ado, I give the floor to Hylan Kaplan for a deep dive into the world of agentic AI for chemical operations. Hylan, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you, Gerhard. And thank you all for attending. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where in the world you are. I am going to dive in because we have a lot of great talks today. Just super quick about myself, chemist by training, spent my whole life in the industry, did a PhD, worked at BSF for a number of years, and have been at Knowde now for about 6. So I'm a chemical guy who got pulled into the digital and technology world about 6 years ago. So let's dive into it. Next slide. Here we go. So the industry is under a lot of pressure. This is, I think, obvious to everyone. The war in the Middle East right now is clearly not helping the situation when it comes to things like supply chains and fuel costs. So I know everyone is dealing with that as we speak. But the last year, 2, 3 have obviously not been easy as well. And so the question we ask ourselves is, what can we control? I personally live in America, but don't have much say in what's going on the other side of the world. And so the question is what can we do in the industry to actually control growing revenue, delivering positive business outcomes? There's only so much we can do, but we need to invest where we can. So the next slide, please. Some of the biggest initiatives that we hear about when we talk to folks in the distribution space, things that can really make an impact on the bottom line. Pricing is always a hot topic. How to be better at pricing, doing the classical cost plus, works, but doesn't capture as much margin as you could. Optimizing how you purchase, like where you purchase, what you purchase, and from whom. I mean, of course, exclusivity and those types of agreements are one thing, but for a lot of products, like how and where you buy it can make a big impact. The cost of a material directly goes to the bottom line. And enabling sales, like making sales more efficient, growing sales, whether that's via digital channels or conventional in the field sales teams. It's like how to give them more power to sell more. And so these are 3 of the topics, that you have control over. Everyone's always talking about them, but historically can be difficult to execute successfully. And I say affordably, and I'll talk about what I mean by that in just a second. If we look at the details, go 1 slide forward, you see what makes these things traditionally hard. Our belief is that it's 3 things. One is a lack of clean and structured data. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that because I know in just a couple minutes we have a nice talk from Wouter and Chintan on the importance of data. We couldn't agree more. In order to do things smartly, to make data-driven decisions and to just use technology, right? This is the theme of the whole session here is AI and technology. You need to have a clean data foundation. It just is a must. The second thing that's really critical is a lack of vertical specific technology. And what I mean by that is there's lots of software in the world, software to help with sales, software to help with procurement, but there's not that much out there that focuses on this industry. And that's why I think that this panel and this seminar is so exciting. I mean, these are companies that focus in the chemicals and distribution space, but there's not that many of us out there. And so what works maybe generically for the consumer goods world, for other industries, really doesn't work for us. And it's sad there hasn't been so much investment because this is such a critical part of the global manufacturing supply chain. And the last thing is let's face it, everybody, we are not the most tech savvy industry out there. We are not the first to adopt change. I have been there. I worked at BASF. It is what it is. I know it's changing. The tide is changing. And if you're in this seminar, you're one of the people that's interested in change. But I think overall, it's a little bit of an uphill battle that we need to overcome. So diving into each one of those, just a pinch more. Next slide, the data problem. Again, this is all I'm going to talk about. It's the key for all of these projects, and data is not organized. It lives in many systems. Mergers and acquisitions is common in our world. Lack of integration, lack of governance. If you don't have the information that you need to execute these projects for your business, product information, customer information, sales, pricing information, market information, it's going to be really tough to do things like a pricing optimization or to help your sales teams. Next slide. The software. There's not a lot of options. It's growing. And again, the people here we're all working towards this. But I mean, historically, if you wanted to do something like a pricing or a procurement program, you may call a consultant. These are big, expensive projects. They could easily be millions of euros. And they're a one-time thing. It's not a sustainable solution. They come in, they do a bunch of work. 6 months, 12 months later, the project is done. Sure, there's a savings or some optimization that came out of it, but 1 year later, it's back to the way it was. And so there's not a lot of answers over the last 5, 10 years. Next slide. The people. It is still a challenge to get people in our industry to adopt the latest and greatest technology. We're here to talk about AI today. You see in the news, there's a lot of industries that are leveraging it a lot, and I think we're still at the start of it. This picture is me maybe 10 years ago, driving a rented truck that I rented because an order didn't, basically a lot of manual touches in an order resulted in an error, and the customer, my customer that I had spent so much time winning as a sales rep, was in trouble, couldn't get material. It was a total human error, tons of touches of an order. And in order to make sure that a customer got delivery, I rented a truck used for moving and went and picked up the material. Nothing hazardous, nothing illegal, but went for a long drive to make sure the customers got it. And it was purely a just human lack of using tools and automation problem that completely would have been avoided right now if you used even a normal e-commerce type experience. So it's something to overcome, but not impossible. Okay, next slide. So to the rescue, AI, right? It's a big topic nowadays. I want to take a second just to delineate 2 kinds for today. You've probably heard of these now. The first is generative AI. I think at this point, most of us are using this day to day. This is when you give an input and the tool gives an output. When you're using Copilot or ChatGPT, anything like a chatbot, for example, is generative AI. You input, it gives you something back. Super useful, has been great. The next kind of iteration of this, which is where I'm going to focus the rest of the talk, is an agentic AI. And this isn't you having a conversation with the tool. This is something that is now going to execute a task or a series of tasks towards a goal. And so, these agents are very much purpose-built. They're designed to solve a specific problem. And the really nice thing here is they can operate like with or without the human input. So like when you're chatting with ChatGPT or Copilot, you're going back and forth. This agent is now going to be able to execute a task. It can be triggered automatically. And that task is historically something humans would do. And at that point, we all know that these things are very fast, powerful, don't sleep, etc. So how does this look? Let's go to the next slide. What does this look like to this is all very high level, but this is kind of how we see the AI and the tech stack nowadays. Starting at the top, you have a financial or operational outcome. You have a goal to optimize your pricing. You're going to build agents. It can be one, it can be series. It could be nowadays people talk about swarms of agents because you can create many to do slightly different tasks using pretty minimal input. Those agents are the ones doing the work, the execution. They need to actually sit on top of systems. They are not running on their own like a human running around your company. They actually need to be plugged into your network of information. So you see the systems here, things like your ERP, where your transactions or your pricing lives, your CRM, where customer information will live, a PIM or a MDM, where product information lives. And inside all of those, at the bottom of the stack here, is clean, structured data. It's not enough just to say, hey, the agent can access my CRM. If your CRM is full of junk, the agent only has access to junk and will not operate. So this is kind of how it looks. And now I want to give you an example of how one of these may look, starting with a simple like offset finding agent. So the purpose of this tool would be if a customer asks, do you have this product, or what would the offset be for a certain product? This is what an agent could be configured to do. And so in the purple is kind of the workflow, the steps. And each one of those steps can have a logic associated with them. And kind of outside the purple is what's going on or where maybe it's pulling information from. So let's say, starting at the left, your sales rep says, I'm looking for this product. Our customer is looking for an offset to this product. The first step was to identify like what is the product they're talking about, right? Our industry has a lot of train names, funny brand names, numbers, letters. First step is make sure we're talking about the right thing. Then it's to enrich that product record. Let's make sure we know what that is. And so now we're pulling potentially from your own system, from the internet. What's the product? What's its CAS number? What are its features, functions, specifications? We need to know what it is. Then you go to look for offset candidates. What could be similar? What has a lot of overlap with those existing fields? Enriching those, again, maybe going to different sources to complete the picture of like, what are all these other products? Classify them. This is now saying, all right, we have the information about them, classify them. Is it a direct offset? Is it a perfect match, one-to-one, everything about it the same? Is it an 80% match where many things align, but there are some differences? And then the last step, which is actually one of my favorite, is to apply business rules. Must be sold by us, must be available in Europe, must be, or ideally is sold by a certain principal, or manufactured by a certain principal over another, so that you can give it the guidance to help make a recommendation. The same way an expert on your team might say, hey, we're a preferred supplier for this company. We prefer it to be from them. And then you deliver the outcome. So if you go to the next slide, you see this is just an animation of what this could be. The tool is basically taking the name and running through and populating without a human having to touch the thing, what the offsets are, what makes them similar, how close they are, and giving the user the output without a human having to go pull data sheets, put them side by side. Like all of that workflow is now configured and automatable. And that's what we're starting to talk about when we talk about an agent. This is a simple example. Offsets helpful for a sales team, but let's go to something really juicy. This is like a pricing optimization, much more sophisticated, A, more complex, and B, will require many more types of information. So whereas the offset finder just requires data about products. Everything is about the actual product you sell. Price optimization can require information about the products, about the customers, about historical transactions and pricing information. And so this is now pulling information from multiple systems, multiple sources, and it's going to run a much more complex multi-step process. And so whether it's a new pricing or whether you're looking retroactively at what do our pricing look like, existing pricing, maybe there's an opportunity to change. If you start on the left by inputting SKU, product you want to sell, the first thing is to then enrich, again, collect the information about that material. And this is a really powerful one. Those first two boxes collect cost and margin data as well as market intelligence. And if you look at what's feeding that, first of all, you need info about the product. What is it? What's its classification? What industry is it being sold to? Pricing about it. How much are you paying for it? How much are other people paying for it? Is there market intelligence about pricing for that product, especially if it's something that's more commoditized? But also pulling in information about your customer. Who are they? What industry are they in? It could be as simple as if you're selling a pharmaceutical grade product to a pharmaceutical company versus a industrial grade, like you would expect the price to be different there. So who's the customer? What segment are they? How much do they buy? What does their existing pricing look like? Things like that. You pull all that in now, you can analyze price elasticity. This is against your own data. Apply strategic guardrails. I used to be a sales guy at BSF for some time, and there was strict rules about what you could sell something for and who needed to approve if you went outside those bands. There are different levels of that governance in our industry, and so you can apply those rules now and then start to formulate the recommendations. So if you go to the next slide, again, all you had to do as the user was put in, let's say, the product, maybe something like a volume or a delivery address, where you're going. And now you can start to get recommendations. And I call these recommendations because I'm not here saying, let pricing run fully automatic, just do what it tells you. These are a great place for a human, whether it's a product manager, a salesperson, to now look at this and say, does this make sense? Do I like this? Wow. And then my favorite part is, if the price is going to be higher, we all like higher prices, grows the pie for the whole industry. There's going to be a rationale for why. It's not just raise the price 3% and hope that they don't, go to someone else. This is why you can get a higher price. More people are paying for that. This is what the market dictates. It's for a certain industry or application. There's a certain value proposition or uniqueness to this product that commands that value. And this is running an analysis without, again, spending days or hours of a human or a product manager having to do that work. So really powerful. These are the kind of things that are coming. If we jump to the last slide here, we see like the future is agentic. You hear about it in the news. You hear a lot of companies talking about using agentic AI and these agentic processes, not necessarily to replace people, but to augment them, to let people be really smart and powerful about it, for sales processes, for procurement, for intelligence, for pricing. We see a lot of opportunity in this space, and you're going to see a lot of great talks today about corralling data, about automating processes, and just want to open your eyes to the fact that when you string together these processes and automations and the right data foundation, we can start to do some really powerful stuff that historically was just not possible, or you paid millions and millions of dollars to consultants to do manually. So that is where I will stop today and look forward to questions from everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Hyland, for this highly interesting presentation. It's a good kick-off presentation, actually, and we learned, among other things, that yes, the future is agentic. Don't forget the old Excel sheets. Was a nice slide on this, and also generative AI. It's maybe something not of the past, but less important. And I think
it's very useful. It's very, generative AI is awesome. I use it every day, but if you could have these agents to do processes, very powerful.
Processes without losing control. Still,
exactly.
It's a point to debate maybe. And I propose that we now move on to the next presentation. And questions, as I said, come later then, also in the discussion. Yes, let's move on to Markus Klähn, founder and president of Vector.on. Markus, you have the floor.
Thank you, Gerhard. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining. I listened to Hyland. I didn't hear anything about supply chain optimization. So this fits right into the use of technology in chemical distribution without any overlap of what he just said. This won't be your typical technology presentation, maybe a quick introduction. I spent 25 years in the chemical distribution industry in different roles in IT, M&A, finance, was in charge of profit and loss account for a region, and I was on the board of Brenntag, in charge of Brenntag North America at the end. Before I left in 2020 and started my own company, Vector.on, where we do nothing but supply chain optimization in chemical distribution. And I'm fortunate that I had the opportunity to see the industry from so many different angles, because I think it puts me in a position where I really understand what the use of technology is, what we have, what we don't have, and what we need. that's why I started the company. Let's jump on the next slide, and I'll explain what mathematical optimization is and how it fits into this exciting industry. So let's start with the algorithm itself. Mathematical optimization is a proven concept, not new at all, over 100 years old. Has been broadly used in other industries, airlines, Uber, HelloFresh, scheduling of sports events, you name it. Is 85% of all Fortune 500 companies use it already. So the question is, why are we just starting to use it in chemical distribution? And that brings me to the other two aspects of it, the challenge and the prerequisites. Sorry that the graphics are a little bit off here, but we'll work with it. So you're all in the industry, so I don't have to explain to you the complexity of chemical distribution, which makes it very exciting, frankly. That's what I love about it, is the complexity, the fast pace, ever-changing, thousands of customers, thousands of products, several locations, plants with certain capabilities, capacities, permit issues. Every product has different requirements and compatibility issues. There's a lot of rules and regulations, and suppliers have their own rules and constraints, and customers as well. So that is the challenge, and that makes every optimization model a very large model. If you want to be realistic and map what's going on in the business reality, which brings me to the next topic, the prerequisites of making this even work in our industry. If you don't know the operational reality of what you and what I was dealing with for a long time, you have no chance to make this work, frankly. The 30,000-foot consultancy approach doesn't work for this type of stuff. You need to have transparency. You can't sell a black box. You need to involve the people from the industry in order to define an optimization model that is realistic and business ready. And that can be done, and that's what we do, and that's what we've been doing for the last few years with a lot of fun. So let's jump in the next slide, and I'll explain a little bit more about the specifics. So how do we go about this? First, we develop a digital twin of your supply chain, which means we look at various sources of raw data that's somewhere in your system or in several systems. Highland mentioned the challenge of data. It's a challenge, but it's a challenge that can be overcome, and we overcome it in every project. So I often get asked, do you have to have all your data in good shape and harmonized and in one spot so that you can do optimization? No, not at all. It's part of every project to pull the information from all the different sources that you may have, different ERP systems, different CRM systems, different data lakes in different clouds, in different formats, in databases, in spreadsheets. Doesn't matter. We pull it all together. And the different aspects of every supply chain, and if you look at the digital twin and the components of it, there's invoice level detail, for example, every shipment that goes out from every warehouse that you have to every customer that you have. There's batching formulas information. Where do you do the filling, blending, mixing, other value-added services, what components go in a blend? All these things we pull in the digital twin, and then the digital twin knows if I sell a certain product, it's a batch product, I need certain components to produce it, and the components have certain product requirements, and the facilities where this blend happens need to be able to have the capability and the capacity to deal with not only the batch product, but also the component products. So those are a few product-specific pieces of information. Then we look at costing information like outbound transportation cost, inter-branch transportation cost, inter-branch product flows, and things like that, handling costs, which can be different for every company we work with. Some have very detailed handling cost calculations. Others make an assumption on handling cost and double handling cost and things like that. We pull all of that together, and then we have a digital twin that we can work with. And we put the optimization model on top that usually has millions of decision variables and very specific, business-specific parameters and constraints that are the same parameters that we use to develop a baseline supply chain so that we compare apples to apples. And then we use algorithms to evaluate all the different potential solutions. And it could be hundreds, thousands, millions of solutions, and that's the beauty of the algorithms and the technology that we use. And we produce a detailed output that the implementation teams can work with. Next slide, please. So for me, the question of how many locations should the distributor have? Where should the locations be? How should the locations be used? What capabilities and capacities should the locations have? Is one of the key success factors in chemical distribution. Having the asset in the right place with the right capabilities gives you a competitive advantage. And analyzing how your existing network should be used is absolutely strategic for every distributor. So if you just click one more time, Nina will get just a few customers. Obviously, you know, there's not free, there's hundreds of thousands, and you can only imagine all the different possibilities to deliver to a customer. And then if you add the other side to it, click one more time, Nina, you'll get the incoming supply chain flow from the suppliers. And that construct of how many plants do you have, how many customers do you have, how many products do you have, how many suppliers do you have, determines the complexity of the supply chain network that we optimize. Next slide, please. We take that complexity and define every path through the supply chain network for every product shipped to combination. So from my perspective, a project like that only works if you're down at the very detailed level. You can't aggregate the information in order to come up with the optimum. You have to define the optimum based on a very small entity in the supply chain network. And for us, usually that's a product shipped to level of detail. So 2 drums of acetone to a ship to location somewhere, going through the network of 5 facilities and coming from 3 potentially different suppliers. That's the level of detail that we look at. And then we calculate for every path, every possible path through the supply chain network, the supply chain cost, inbound cost, handling cost, inter-branch transportation cost, double handling cost, triple handling cost, outbound transportation cost. Add all of that up for all the potential combinations, and that could be millions, and you get the total supply chain cost. And then we deploy the algorithms to work through all the different potential combinations and come up with the optimum one that's actually a possible combination. And that's an important point, because you may have 10 facilities, but 3 of them don't handle flammables, or they only have a food warehouse, or they don't have blending capabilities. And if you define a path through the network and you don't look at these important business constraints, the solution will be garbage. So that's where it's extremely important to define the optimization model the right way. And once you do that, then it will come up with highly valuable solutions that can be implemented, that the implementation team can take and turn it into real change and monetize the optimization gap resulting from the exercise. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, this is a lot of complexity, a lot of numbers, big spreadsheets. The solution, if it's millions of variables, is hard to understand unless you use visualization technologies that show you product flows, that translate the solution back into, it's from this warehouse to this warehouse, this product that goes to this customer in this quantity. And with the right visualization technology, you can very nicely show where the flows are, what the changes are from your current baseline to the optimum state. And everybody will understand, on today we're shipping from this warehouse, but we should be shipping from this warehouse to this ship to address of the customer and this product. And this is readily available, and we use it in every project that we do. Next slide, please. So I mentioned earlier, these optimization models are very large. That's why we partner with the leading companies that provide the fastest algorithms, the fastest math technology behind this. We have the very large capacity hardware in-house. We do in-house parallel processing. We have large memory capacity to handle the biggest optimization problems that occur in this industry. And we like to use our own technology. Then we have full control. We're faster. We can make changes. And we lean on our partners for specific support. Gorobi develops the fastest algorithms, has 50+ PhD data scientists that can support us in making the algorithms even faster, customizing them to the specific use case. So what comes out of the exercise, the optimization model, is very tangible. We will get an optimality gap on a product level that tells us how much money you currently leave on the table. We calculate the base case based on the digital twin, so we know how much the total supply chain cost by product currently is. The model gives us an optimum supply chain setup for this product and an optimality gap, which is in dollars and by supply chain cost category, which means you can save X thousand euro in inter-branch transportation cost, in double handling cost, in triple handling cost, in outbound transportation cost, or in inbound transportation cost for every product that's involved. That's decision intelligence that we can provide to the implementation team that can then consolidate the very detailed information and look at specific warehouses, at specific lanes, at specific products, and start to identify low-hanging fruit, high priority savings, and go after it. They know what needs to be changed in order to realize the savings, and they can just work on a priority list and realize the savings. We support with visualization tools and full transparency, and we can also run scenario analysis as a result of the digital twin and the optimization model availability scenario analysis, like what would all of this look like without this facility? Or what if we had this capability here, which is an investment case? Excuse me. Just 1 second. Which can be highly valuable as you can premeditate investments, acquisitions even, or disinvestments, facility closures, things like that. And you'll see the resulting product flow from the closed facility to other facilities and so on. Next slide, please. So usually the initial optimization is the starting point of an exciting journey. It's in itself obviously highly valuable. As you get the implementation plan, the low-hanging fruit that I already mentioned, then the implementation teams run with it and realize the savings. We can integrate the model output into existing supply chain management dashboards like Business BI, where you may already have certain information to manage your supply chain. We can add to that baseline cost information from the digital twin, optimality gap information, and change management information to get to the optimum, and make that part of your monthly, quarterly dashboard situation that you may have. I mentioned the scenario planning. The other aspect that I do want to mention is building expertise in-house. Is one thing to bring in a consultant who solves an optimization problem for you, which obviously we do, but it's another one to build your own optimization experience in-house, which I think is key going forward. This technology is not going away. And for a distributor with several facilities, for me, that's a muscle that has to be built over time, and is a capability that every mid-size distributor, and I mean with that, I mean every distributor with more than 3 locations has enough complexity to deal with to use optimization technology to optimize the supply chain. We help building that muscle. When we do the projects, it's fully transparent. It's not, okay, we have this black box and it spits out the optimum, and you can believe me, this is the optimum, and that's it. We show our customers how this technology is used, how it's worked, how we develop the parameters, how we develop the constraints. We accompany the implementation of the changes. And usually at the end of the initial optimization project, our customers understand the results because they've worked with us all the way to the point where we have the results. And that's what I mean with building expertise. And then usually we start all over again and refresh the initial optimization results and make it part of the quarterly information flow. Next slide, please. So the typical optimization project lasts around 3 to 4 months, but it doesn't take that long from kickoff to the initial optimization model results. Usually that's a question of several weeks. After several weeks, the digital twin is available and we have an initial model run. And that's where already the low-hanging fruit will start to realize, okay, the current situation is not optimum without even knowing what the optimum result looks like. You can see that all these shipments back and forth don't make too much sense, and our customers start to realize low-hanging fruits after a few weeks. And then once the optimum results of the model runs kick in, there's a very prescriptive method on how to realize all of the savings. And that's usually after 2 to 3 months. And then setting the customers up for continuous improvement is the last few weeks of the project, and communicating the results properly and visualizing everything. So that's in a nutshell how mathematical optimization in chemical distribution works, how we do this. Very exciting. If that's interesting for you, please contact me and we can talk about it. We can set up a demo, or I can come see you at your facilities. Thanks so much.
Many thanks, Markus, for your presentation. I have the impression this was a very big nutshell. If this was really a nutshell, then for me, the level of detail in your tool is really impressive and amazing. And I agree that location decisions in our industry are key. And why not using your optimization tools, or in general optimization tools? Now I also understand better the name of your company, Vector.on. A question comes to my mind: do your tools also factor in real-time war zones, crisis regions, and shock points in supply chains?
They absolutely can, and that's a good question. And I think that's the power of the digital twin. Once the digital twin is in place, you can run scenarios. You can say, what if entire product groups aren't available anymore, or there's a scarcity of product, or there's a hurricane, or you name it. It could be any crisis you can think of. How would that affect my supply chain? And you just change parameters, you change constraints, and you get a preview of what might happen a few weeks from now, and you can start to prepare for that, which I think is a very exciting side product of the optimization of the digital twin.
Okay, thank you. I think it's a neat transition to Agilis or Agilis, Wouter, because you will talk about master data platforms built by industry veterans. Wouter, please start your presentation.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction, and it's a pleasure for us to be here. So you see that this is a dual act with Chintan and I. So I represent the veteran side of our business, having been in the industry for about 40 years, mainly as producers, but working a lot with distributors, and Chintan represents the next generation. So with the next slides, indeed, we're going to talk about really how to simplify digital transformation. And we're actually going to take a slightly different perspective from the other speakers, which is good, because we want to look at this from different angles. So on the next slides, first of all, setting the scene. It has already been mentioned, the market conditions are really horrible again, still. Actually, maybe since 2019, we haven't had a normal time. This seemed to be the new normal, that we have softer demand, margin pressures, and enormous disruptions in our supply chain. So it's one battle after another. Then already mentioned as well, talent and demographics really has two sides. We have a lot of know-how concentrated in people, and often people who are no longer very young, but maybe they're still staying and they're not ready to move to a digital world. And on the other hand, we're recruiting a next generation, but they come with little knowledge. So that could lead to a loss of knowledge in the company. And especially when you start applying AI to kind of half knowledge to scattered knowledge, you could really get very dangerous outcomes. And thirdly, the third headwind is the compliance and regulatory environment complexity. especially here in Europe. Every day we hear that rules will be made simpler, and I think that's the intent. But at the same time, we still hear that the digital product passport is coming our way, and we'll see a need for more recycling and recycled product content. So again, challenges, but these challenges really also are an opportunity for each of us, each of you, to differentiate and to show how you can be different facing those challenges with your customers. So on the next slide, we should really all ask ourselves, you know, what is your differentiation, and what do you do that makes you better than others, customers and suppliers? So, you know, what makes you better than other distributors, and also what are you doing that your customers or your suppliers don't want to do? So as there is so much change, and the way of business is shifting with digitization, you run a risk that part of your value is being captured, you know, either upstream or downstream or by your competitor, and that's first of all key to define where are you today, and then secondly, what makes that differentiation work? And this is about the knowledge, process, context in your company. And I think this fits very well with the presentation of Marcus, that in the end, it's your operations that are a key part of the differentiation. And finally, how much of that know-how and that differentiation is formalized? Is it locked up in people who may leave, or is it really well documented and you'll be able to sustain it, you know, as people change and as conditions change? So I think the good news is that all of you are different. And the key question is, how do you bring that out to your advantage? So if we go to the next slide, we think there are really two core pillars of your differentiation. It's your customer know-how and operational advantage. So your role in life is to be closer to the customers than the producers. And you know, you have been able to provide that capability, that uniqueness over the decades. And it will still depend a lot on people, but to the extent that you can digitize that, you will ensure that it's also going to be your advantage in the future. And secondly, operational advantage. You know, your forecasting, sourcing, and pricing both have been mentioned earlier. Navigating compliance and solving exceptions and edge cases, you know, disruptions faster. Execute with greater precision than your competitors. So two pillars: close to the customer, and you know, your operational advantage, you know, your special sauce. So if we go to the next slide, how do you bring this to the digital world? Well, you need to capture that differentiation digitally, but also operationalize it effectively. So what we see is that many companies are pretty good or well on their way on the left side, where they digitize their data and the knowledge. And so this can be the context of your product and supplier relationships, customer fit and solutions recommendations, the rules, business rules, regulatory and compliance rules, and also the commercial judgment and pricing signals. However, the second part is at least, if not more important, to make this operational. And I think that also came across in the previous presentation, because that's where you really make the difference. Is that, you know, if you have the advantage, if you have digitized it well, how do you ensure that it gets used across all your workflows, teams, systems, AI applications, consistently and at scale, and without relying on a few people who have all the knowledge. So it needs to be governed and trusted, usable across teams and workflows, consistent AI output, and maintainable. This is not a one-shot effort. This is about governance and ensuring that your systems and data stays up to date and fit for purpose. So if you achieve this, then you can not only survive, but thrive in the digital world. We go to the next slide. So we really think that data is your source of competitive advantage, but it takes a lot of work to ensure that it indeed delivers that and that you can leverage it. So Chintan is going to continue on that point.
Thank you, Wouter. All right, so yes, so your enterprise data is actually your competitive advantage, and let's try to understand what this enterprise data is a little bit. See, I know if you are like me, who's sort of an AI geek and they just want to follow all the news around you, there was a way where until last year, you were just getting reports everywhere that how much companies are investing in the AI technologies and digitalization. And then for the last 4 months, now there is a trend and warnings that 60% of projects will fail or 80% of the projects will fail. And those are great signals, but they're also too ambiguous in the sense that they're not exactly telling you what is failing in this process and what is the key to success. And that's where this outlook comes, we feel is something that has helped a lot of our customers, which is your enterprise data is actually a competitive advantage, which is not the data that's just living in your ERP tables and your CRM tables. They are important for your daily operations, but also they are not the part that's creating value in your organization. The value in your organization is being created by the context behind the decision making. If a customer comes in asking who is in food manufacturing and they sell food manufacturing equipment, and they're coming in requesting low VOC solvents for cleaning, it's that context behind that data that should tell you that I have to recommend probably solvents that are going to be FDA approved or food grade approved or food contact approved, if you will. So what we urge all of our members in the industry to think about is not just digitize and clean what your data is. It's very important, as Hilan mentioned, as well as Marcus mentioned. For any type of digitalization, automation, you do need clean data. But in this new age where you're looking at sales enablement, knowledge transfer, more complex regulation, which has a lot of decision making involved behind it, you need to start thinking about effective ways of digitizing that information and know-how. And why you want to do it? Because it's reflecting how you're running the business today. So if you are looking for 5 years down the line, a whole suite of AI agents working together in tandem, using one's output to next, you need to exactly know how your decisions are being made and what's the data that it takes. And this is where we see a lot of friction in terms of the outlook. A lot of distributors think about data as a one-time cleanup or back office delegation and not a way to really capture the differentiation. I'm sure every 3 years, someone has probably tried to initiate a data cleanup in your ERPs. And if you have grown by acquisition and you have more than one ERPs, we understand where you're coming from. And every time you try to do that, you make some headway, but you see a lot of challenges that don't allow you to scale. And that's where this outlook becomes quite important. Next slide. So what exactly is this ERP data or this enterprise data, and what's the value we are talking about? So what we lead with is a complete master product platform that's not just capturing your product data, customer data, pricing, etc., but it's your supplier masters, your customer masters, your raw materials, your products, your certifications, pricing data, regulatory data, and any other business operational critical data, but also building deep interconnectedness between all of these data objects. And the fact is that we, in fact, 3 out of 10 distributors that we speak with, they basically say we don't have enough data. We are just operating on what's there in an ERP. But the fact is, you do have it. You just don't have the right technology means and a little bit of maybe external expertise to help you define it in a way that you can connect them and have a usable view of it. And this is where I think the industry vertical solutions become actually very important. Next slide. Let's just try to understand this with a quick example. And this is where you will also start understanding the limitations of AI and this outlook that a lot of people carry, that AI is going to help us with everything, which is no, that's not the case. Let's take a simple example of your team needs to find out if the product that you're recommending to customer is kosher certified or not. Just a simple question. From a data perspective, you might just have inside some of your ERP data table, just one parameter, kosher certified, yes or no, which is great if you have it and you can then recommend it. But if you're looking to automate, if you're looking to put AI to use, if you're looking to scale, what you need to look at is the decision making behind it. So today, the real workflow is that you have a product. That product can have multiple suppliers. You pick up one supplier, you go to that supplier master that you are maintaining. Inside that supplier master, you look at which countries is this product or their products are coming from, right? You pick up that information, then you look at associated certifications. You look at a certification that is of the type kosher. You open that file, you look at whether this certificate is valid or not in the region that you're trying to sell and the date is still active or not. If that is all correct, then you have to look at whether your product name that you're selling is actually existing in that particular solution or not. And if you're a distributor who does blending, tolling, white labeling, any of those sorts, then you probably have a different name under which you're selling than the name of the product that you have purchased it under. So you have to make sure that your product, the ways you're selling in that loop, is being found inside this certificate. And if that is done, then you can say, yes, this product is kosher certified. And this is where we have to understand what are the roles and limitations of AI and how do we really want to use it, which is next slide. And this is where you have to answer this question for yourself. Do you put AI first or data? And this is what we here refer to as the circularity trap. In our opinion, and actually now, if you even look at the Deloitte's latest report on state of AI, everyone's agreeing that data has to lead AI as a technology, but AI can easily be something that you leverage to get to this particular technology. For example, in the previous workflow that we said, you can use AI to sort of scan documents and identify key parameters about validity as well as which products are mentioned and sort of speed up that process of your master data creation. But the same process cannot apply for long-term governance of that particular data. And this is where another important thing that you will probably agree, and from your personal usage of ChatGPT or Claude or any other tool, which is all of these systems are non-deterministic. They're working out of probabilities, and it's great for individual uses. But if you're looking to run your business, you have to understand whether you want to make that decision with non-deterministic systems or not. And what is the business risk or outcome? These systems can end up creating data and assume that data to be the truth and continue generating further outputs on this data. Something is what we call as hallucination, but also a little bit of a drift from the reality or what the truth is. And this is why you have to start thinking about the effective way of using AI towards solving this data as a one time, towards maintaining this data, and also think about how you are going to govern that data as well. You need to have that trust that whatever AI is giving you is true, and you need to know the backend logic that AI is using to give you that particular recommendation. I think we spoke about the part of it not being a black box or magic, and that you just trust that because AI has said it, it must be true. So that is the what master data is and what is the challenge towards creating this enterprise data, if you will. So what's the solution? Now, I've said a lot about challenges, but I also want you to walk away with three solutions that can take you in the right direction. First, do not get mired with the concept of AI as in it's a problem solver for everything for you. Select the business outcomes that are going to get you the differentiative advantage in the next 5 years and work backward from those target outcomes. It's like, Hilan also, I think, mentioned something about the data foundation, and Marcus also put that weight. You can't put foundations for a small townhouse and then try to build a high story on top of it. If you want to build a high story, you need to look at a different set type of foundation, and that's exactly what we talk about with AI as well. And so identify the business outcome or the use cases that you want to target, work your way backwards, and figure out how you want to leverage technology to do it. The second part, think of AI as an enabler, not an expert. And the third, choose a partner. This is complex enough that I can tell you, in general, our industry, we are catching up on, but it requires certain level of expertise. There are enough market vertical platforms in the market now that you don't have to go to generic solutions. There are plenty of digital experts who are from the chemical industry. There are plenty of technologists now in the chemical industry. Do not try to just solve this problem alone. It's not a matter of feasibility. It's a matter of making sure you get it right the first time, because the time of experimentation is closing down fast. So choose a partner that reflects domain knowledge and also someone who can understand your differentiation and help you preserve it. Um, and that is pretty much the end of it. I just want to have a quick summary slide here. The three takeaways from today's conversation. Your enterprise data is your competitive advantage. And when we say enterprise data, it's essentially your contextualized data that connects all of these so-called separate data entities in the works. And here you also have to think, if you're using AI to generate data, so is everyone else using the same AI, the same data. So that competitive advantage that used to be with data, that having access to publicly available data, that's kind of gone. You have to really think of unique ways of how this data can be taken in, and how does it interact with your enterprise data to create value. Second, do not treat this as a one-time cleanup. It is not an IT project. It is a business outcome-driven project. Make sure you involve, even if it is being led by IT because they understand technology, make sure the business teams are involved in your organization in helping you create this data, and then think about governance. And third, beware of the circularity trap. AI can create a lot of output and then use it as a source of truth. Do not rely on data just coming in from AI or third-party sources alone, or data that is unconnected. Put your mind to it to define what correctness means for your business, right? And with that, just next slide here. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Wouter. We will be more than happy to give any additional information that is available and answer questions in the context of your business. And what we also have for a small takeaway is, next slide, we have created a data readiness assessment for you that looks at different areas in which you are creating and maintaining this data. If we can just keep it on for a few seconds, I urge you to just scan this QR code, go to the form and fill up all the information and see an analysis of where you are and what you can do next. And if that's something that we want to then discuss, that's definitely possible for us. But with that, we conclude our presentation, and thank you so much, FECC, for making this possible.
Thanks a lot, Chintan and Wouter. As Wouter pointed out, it's the beauty of our format called FECC Digital Days, that we look at the topic from different angles, finally complementary perspectives, and also different solutions and takeaways. For instance, this self-assessment, I think this looks pretty interesting. And now we have another exciting perspective in store, AI in SDS authoring. Bojan Bojnek, CEO and owner of Benz Consulting, will explore this topic now. I'm looking forward to it. You have the floor, Bojan.
Thank you very much, Gerhard, and of course, thank you, FECC, for making this possible. So I will speak about AI in safety data sheet authoring, of course, and I'm glad also that none of the speakers and presenters before me haven't touched the compliance part and regulatory compliance. So that's our part, which is also very, very important. And of course, I've crafted this presentation specifically for the current challenging market situation. And I'll just briefly introduce our company. So please, Nina, can you go to the next slide? Perfect. Okay, so briefly about Benz Consulting. We are the chemical regulatory consulting company, but we have our own digital platform that's been operating since early 2000s. So we moved to the cloud in 2006. And we started as a family company. And of course, we have in-house regulatory experts and software engineers. And we do a lot of innovation and improvements and so on with our software. Why is it important? Why is this regulatory compliance now important, and safety data sheets that are normally understood in the industry as a necessary evil? This is because it's something that's the first step, the first document that you actually receive from your supplier to identify potential issues, regulatory issues, because it also affects your customers. And your customers, for example, paints and coatings companies that are mixing together various ingredients, their products also need to be compliant. So please, next slide. Yeah, thank you. So distribution challenges, everyone already touched that from Hilan. Hilan started it. And of course, today, sourcing is getting complex day by day. Market pressure is rising, of course. Margins are tighter, and that was already the case last year at the FECC annual meeting in Hamburg, where we discussed that, and that was before what's now happening in the Middle East. And of course, also regulatory teams are now overloaded because distributors are looking for different ways to access the ingredients and the raw materials that their customers need. So, and in such a challenging situation and in chaotic markets, slow compliance means missed opportunities, of course. And that's why we are witnessing this firsthand, because we are on the front lines of this, because we work with many distributors who are now trying to find alternatives, raw materials, new raw materials, and so on from different parts of the world. So that's why we face many requests on a daily level of how to analyze safety data sheets that they receive from their from their suppliers, to analyze for compliance, to see whether this is possible to put on the market and to deliver to the customer. And yeah, this is, please, can you move to the next slide? So today I'll be very brief because I prepared the live demo of our new tool that actually solves this first screening issue. Because of course, when you receive when you're looking for alternative raw materials and products and chemicals, you receive safety data sheet, as I said, and then you need to process this safety data sheet and analyze it to see whether it fits the customer or not. So I will show how to process safety data sheets in any language, how to create safety data sheets, labels, digital product dossiers, and of course, use process product information work and share current information digitally. But so what we are doing currently, we are helping our customers and the industry to move from reactive to proactive compliance. What this means is that normally teams are overburdened because it takes time to analyze documents, but now we'll make it simpler and more effective and efficient at the same time. We are trying to do that. So my next slide is live demo. Nina, is there another? Yeah, of course. So I will take control of the presentation now, and I will share my screen now with you to show you our new tool that's already available, and everyone can access it. And that's, I hope you see it. This is our new service. It's not new, it's been running since last year, but we haven't actually promoted it or advertised it. So it's a digital chemical consultant enhanced by AI, where AI helps and experts lead. So we actually build this on 30 years of our chemical regulatory expertise. And when I say AI, it means I see AI like, speakers and presenters before me already mentioned this. AI can be messy, but what we've done here, we added just the right amount of AI to get the job done. So I'll just show you how we can, how this tool works. It's very simple. What you can do is just the drag and drop PDF safety data sheet that you receive from your customer. Wait for a couple of 10 seconds, 15, 45. So it can take, it depends on the number of pages and the complexity of the safety data sheet. And what you can see now is a safety data sheet analysis report. What it does, it actually analyzes the safety data sheet and provides the information in structured form. And of course, I must mention here that these analysis reports are only valid for 1 month, so they will expire. In the first place, we analyzed for the most critical points. So, and answering most critical points, is this product hazardous according to CLP? So this is for Europe. Then we have analysis for transport classification, if it's hazardous for transport. And then we also check the product for specific regulatory categories. I will show you that later. So what it does, it extracts information from the product. It extracts supplier information, contacts, and so on. Then extracts parameters like physical and chemical parameters, in general parameters, and so on. And then it creates a label. So this is a draft label created directly by the tool. and add some label requirements and general user requirements. For example, if this product was intended for the general use and general public, then it would need, the packaging would need tactile warning and also child-resistant fastening. Then we also extract the data, the classification of the product, and compare it with the calculated one. And for example, there are some also perks that you can use here. For example, if you hover over the hazard phrase, you can see if the same hazard phrase is on both sides and so on, or you can just highlight differences and see that we calculated more hazardous. We determined that it's more hazardous than the original one. And if you want to check it, you can also see the classification rule, what's behind it. And of course, for example, here we have some suspected of damaging the unborn child, which is a very hard hazard. And here you can see that this happens above 3% of such products. And maybe here we have, again, above 3%, and this is present in 2.5 to 10% in the mixture. So this is one side, and of course, if you scroll down, you also extract chemical composition of the product with all the identifiers, concentrations, and all the notes that pertain to specific ingredients. And we also extract transport information and provide additional instructions for transport. For example, here we have a product that is classified as UN 2735, and the limited quantities for transport are 1 liter. And here you have packaging instructions, or when you don't need ADR transport and when you can avoid or ADR transport, and what measures you need to follow. And last but not least, we also analyze all the regulatory categories. So we identify substances that fall under the biological limit values and so on. You can test it right now because it's live and it's running, so you can test it on your safety data sheets. So, for example, and this list here informs you about potential issues that you might have with the product. And for example, this product contains substances of very high concern, and it lists those ingredients here. Also, it identifies if the product is Seveso, and provides this information. And if it's green, then no additional issues have been identified here. So this is the tool that actually helps you analyze safety data sheet that you receive from your suppliers when you are looking for, when a distributor, if you're a distributor, when you are looking for alternatives and you want a very quick assessment of the product, just drag and drop it to Chemius and you will see how it works. Maybe just one more information. So here, what we can do now is, so the product, this will expire in 30 days. But what you can do is you can save the product to Chemius. Just click it here, open an account or log in if you already have an account, and success, my product is here. And if I can see, so this product is already on my list. What I can do here now, I can go to click the product. So everything is already there. The safety data sheet has been already created for this product, and you can create it in various languages. So we took the German language because that was the source language. Then you can also create technical data sheet in Chemius. The label is created already and it's ready to print. And what you can do is just modify the safety data sheet if you need any modifications. Otherwise, you can you can use this tool to create safety data sheets as well and safety instructions, and then share everything with your customers. So this is one thing that I wanted to show you. And for example, we found a very interesting safety data sheet the other day. So I'll just show you how it looks. I think it's this one, because this one is in Cyrillic. It's not typical safety data sheet because it contains, as you can see, some stamps. It contains some additional information, and we just drag and drop this product into our system to see what we'll get. And it's really interesting because, so you see that some information here is redacted in the safety data sheet, and it's in Cyrillic letters. So what's interesting is that we actually extracted also the redacted information here. And now we can see, without actually checking the safety data sheet, we saw, okay, it's hazardous for transport, and there are some regulatory categories that we need to pay attention to. And here we found that there are a lot of potential issues with reach restrictions, evasive product, and substances of very high concern are present in the product, and also a lot of biological so substances subject to biological exposure monitoring were identified, and also substances with workplace exposure limits were also identified. Exposure monitoring and workplace controls may be required here. And this tool actually helps you understand the product faster, so you can prepare really and help your customer to reduce complexity on their side and help them make faster purchase decisions on the basis of safety data sheet. So safety data sheet are a starting point, and then you can, so this is something that you get from your supplier, and you can analyze it very quickly here. Of course, when you are in Chemius, if I save this in Chemius, what I can do, so it's already there. What I can do here, I can select those products that I created here and just add them to formulation, create a new formulation, and also formulate. So reuse the data that we used and extracted from the document in order to create formulations as well. So this is, as I said, a completely free of charge tool. We are not charging anything. It's more like a showcase page, what's possible, and how we can leverage the AI in safety data sheet authoring and chemical management. And I hope this will be helpful to FECC members and also distributors of chemicals, because it's a very practical solution, and you can start using it right now. If you just go to follow the link to www.chemius.ai, you can start using it right now. And of course, I would really like your feedback. So if you try the tool, please send me a message. Let me know how it worked for you. So this is almost the end of my presentation. As I said, I will be very brief. So maybe if I return back to the Teams presentation, so I'll stop sharing it right now. And Nina, can you take control and show the rest of my presentation? Oh, we are at the end. So maybe, yeah. Next slide. So what it means, what we have done here, very quickly analyzing safety data sheets, which means faster turnaround, simpler workflows, better business support, and of course, compliance without delay. Next slide, please. So this is what we see here, yeah. Before I wrap up, what we see here is I believe that 2026 will be the year of autonomous safety data sheet authoring, when this becomes reality. because we're almost there. And experts, so this is not for experts, this means that experts will become supervisors. Not anymore, because we see this in our company. We are previously entering everything manually, but now our colleagues can process more safety data sheets, more data by just scanning the safety data sheet and then supervise and check if everything is okay. So, which means compliance will get simpler, costs will go down, and safety will improve. And this is something that's needed currently in the chemical industry, because most of the time when on all polls, many distributors say that regulatory compliance is one of the top challenges that they are facing every time. And the last slide. Next. Thank you. So as I said, it's Chemios AI is free, AI enhanced digital chemical consultant. You can, so this is promotion. This is, you can get early access by just going to the Chemios AI website and try it out. Let me know how it worked for you. And on the last slide, please, Nina, just show my contact so everyone can contact me if they needed any help with that. And yeah, I would really like your feedback and how it worked for you. So this is my very brief presentation for this year.
Many thanks, Bojan, for your presentation, especially the live demo on Chemios, which reveals a high degree, I would say an astonishing high degree of granularity. Pick Seveso, REACH, you name it, all kinds of regulation. You can check and speed up the whole process. It's really amazing. Thanks a lot. And now I would like to thank. I would like to thank all the speakers for their contributions, and moving on to our panel discussion. So please switch on your cameras, and we also have then Q&A, including our virtual audience. So do not hesitate to put your questions in the box I indicated at the beginning of our session. My first point would be, as you have outlined, all of you, there are opportunities using AI in chemical distribution, different niche applications, or more general also. However, experts also warn about potential downside. Which kind of threats to our industry does each of you perceive? For instance, I don't want to play the devil's advocate, but also a principal might use his own AI tool and cut out the distributors, the middlemen. Who would like to answer this point or this question? Markus, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I think there's a risk with using AI if it's not managed properly. I think AI should always be decision support, but not the decision maker. And if you let AI loose, yes, there's always the risk that it goes in a direction that doesn't make too much sense for the industry. It might not have the right information, or it might just be wrong in that instance. That's why I think it's always important to have the human element in it. And I would always consider AI as a source of decision intelligence, and never the autopilot that runs the show.
Thank you. And then we have, I don't see who's,
Walter.
Wouter, yes, Wouter, please.
Yeah, thank you. And I think, this also was a point we addressed in our presentation, that is this a point where the suppliers or the customers take over part of your work? I'm optimistic on that for distributors. Actually, already more than 5 years ago, we had a case in China where we felt that we needed to create a platform because we felt the distributors didn't represent our value enough. And even in China, where there was a lot of e-commerce, it stayed very, very small. And I think in the end, the subsequent development was that more professional distributors moved to China and provided the service that people need. So I think that was also our point about it's really about your operational strength. That's not something that you can replace with AI.
Yes, Bojan, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think that you asked about principals using AI and skipping the distributors. That's not likely because distributors combine and offer other services like logistics and blending and so on. So it will not happen because of that. And of course, this is maybe possible for principals that offer everything, all the services and all the ingredients for a specific type of product in one place. But this is, again, something that's not really realistic.
And the risk of losing control, especially when you use agentic AI, is this something you perceive as something?
Maybe I can comment.
Yes.
We've all had the experiences where you've encountered a hallucination or seen AI make something up or answer something that's not accurate. There are really well-established ways to constrain and confine it, though. And it's not just, opening ChatGPT and giving it one line of prompt command saying, only look here. It's not good enough, but it very much is confinable and constrainable. And the technology and the methodologies for doing that are getting more and more established every day. I mean, we see AI being used in everything from banking to military. It is constrainable, and it's one of the reasons, that it might make sense to work with someone who's an expert.
I mean, just one more point, Gerard, if I may.
Yes, sure.
I'm convinced of the value proposition of the distributors. So I'm fairly confident that if an AI system properly configured were asked on how distribution of products should work, it would give the right recommendation to go more through distribution rather than less. So I think there's also a big upside in suppliers and producers using AI. Because there's a clear value case here, and maybe AI needs to tell them that.
Yeah.
Yes, Bojan, you also raised your hand.
Yes. So I just wanted to say about our experience, because we have our in-house. So we this year we started using our in-house developed ERP for our internal processes. And what happened is that AI, of course, helped draft emails to our team. And one of the team members actually sent an email that was really funny, even not correctly pronouncing our Chemius and using the same Chemius brand and so on. And it also gave some wrong information. So that's something that is really, so AI can be very, very useful, but of course there have to be some guardrails. And also if somebody thinks that AI will replace people it will not happen because, of course, in the end, there are experts that need to review what's being generated. And in this case, if the AI was so good, then we would not need experts anymore. But it's not the case. So experts, as we can see now, are moving. Our consultants are moving from manually entering and introducing information that took, I don't know, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, of transcribing information into becoming supervisors that only oversee the process, and then their expertise comes into place because they need to review and confirm and then send everything to the customer when it's verified. So that's why we also introduced additional guardrails to avoid that, and yeah, it has to be supervised and checked by an expert.
That's clear. Chintan, you would like to jump in?
Yeah, just a bit. I think a part of it got addressed by Bojan, which was exactly that. It's more about elevating us users as to the supervisory role and sort of bringing in that efficiency gains, but also to the point of, with regards to, you said the word AI losing control. Well, AI is only going to one of my previous colleagues used to say AI is the smartest intern you can ever ask for, but it's double-edged sword. It will do exactly what you tell it to do. So as long as you are specific as the supervisor, it can deliver a lot. So I think the more way of it, it's not about AI can lose control or not. It's about what's your risk appetite and which business processes is it okay if AI fails sometimes versus which business processes AI cannot afford any failure whatsoever. Like you cannot get it wrong even once. So I think that's the type of decision that each business should take after looking at where they want to invest that money in AI, and always start with simpler use cases and like take baby steps and grow into it. That has always been our recommendation. And I think for distributors, it's very critical for them to adopt these for efficiency gains. Because I want to tie to the previous question whether distributors are at risk as a business. What we see in the market is, in fact, producers wanting to give more businesses towards distributors. But it is the way our distributions are operating, which makes producers a little bit unsure of how does it happen? How does it scale? How do we improve that operations between the two if you're actively handing off customers to distribution? So in my view, distributors are actually sitting on a gold mine of opportunities. If you can prove to your suppliers that you are digital savvy, if you can prove to them and show them how you're leveraging technology, and if you can prove to them the new ways that you're going to add value to their go-to-market strategy, you are only going to grow. And this is where, there are companies that are growing by 5 acquisitions a year, and then there are companies that are relatively stagnant. This is the difference. It's the companies that are growing and becoming their favorites in every producer consolidation. If you look at what they have done digitally in the last 10 years, they have been doing exactly what we are all trying to catch up to, which is focus on data and make it ready and operationalizing it in different ways. So that's something for us to think about and consider.
This sounds really optimistic and positive. Maybe we as chemical distribution sector, we not only sit on a coal mine, maybe even a gold mine. And in this context, I would like to know your view whether a scarcity of AI engineers or experts could hamper this potential growth. How do you see this, Bojan, in your country?
In our so what I see is thank you. we have developed the capabilities in-house. So we started with developing our own models in 2017. So which means that we are actively using always the latest technologies and always trying different models, different approaches all the time. And this is like ingrained in our DNA in the company. So we have in-house capabilities, and yeah, it took some time, and we test a lot. We try a lot of things, a lot of different things, how to make our lives simpler. And then when we come up with a solution, then we offer it. Like, for example, we created this Chemius AI page as a showcase page for the industry.
Yeah, I think it's not the scarcity of AI people that will be the bottleneck. It's the scarcity of AI people that understand our industry, that really understand our industry, not from a consultancy perspective, but from a hands-on experience, that have lived through the merge of rail cars and driver hours and shelf life issues and things like that, in order to configure an AI system that really adds value. There's a lot of people that can talk about AI, that can do some AI, but to put it to use in our industry takes a lot more than that.
Okay, thanks, Hilan.
Yeah, maybe one other thing, like I can maybe share an insight, and I'm sure a lot of the folks on the panel might see the same thing, is, we're a software company and we focus on building these tools day in and day out. And one of the things that we've always encountered over the years is folks in the industry saying, we're going to do it ourselves. And the tools keep getting better, Cloud Code, Vibe coding, and people want to try and do it themselves. The ability to do more without being like an expert in AI engineering or coding is getting more advanced by the day, but it is not good enough for an enterprise truly functioning for your day-to-day business. It will be cool, but not really ready for business. And so what we see is, we've been doing software now for almost a decade. You can't take someone that knows nothing and make them able to build these systems, but the people that are engineers and do have that context, like Marcus was saying, are now able to build at incredible rates. What used to take a week now takes a day, if you know what you're doing. So that's amazing, and obviously has huge implications on the question was around resources. Less people can do more, but you can't go from zero to doing it. I tried. I'm a chemist, not an engineer, and it looks okay, but doesn't really work.
Yeah, speed is a recurrent point. Also, yesterday it was doing more or less the same thing, but far faster, with more speed, and having control about the output and double check it. In this context, I would like to come back to Wouter, who said something on maintenance. The system needs to be maintainable across the board in the long term to make it sustainable. That's what you said, to gain a real competitive advantage. What is the stance of the others regarding this point? Maybe Marcus, do you have any?
Yeah, I do have thoughts on speed, and I think in many cases quality is more important than speed. It's sometimes the perception, okay, we need to have this and we need to have it fast. It takes a lot to build a good AI support system, and I'd rather spend a little bit more time and get it right. And as a distributor, also not rush into it, but thoughtfully enter this new technology, and then create some real value for the company, rather than try to beat some artificial deadline and milestones that you think you have to hit in order to gain competitive advantage. Because at the end of the day, It always takes time to build something good. And once you have something good, it's a sustainable advantage. And whether it takes 1 month or 3 months doesn't matter.
Thanks a lot. Bojan?
Yeah, maybe just to add, so how did we come to this situation and how did we come up with this product? Because first we created more than 500,000 safety data sheets for our customers, and being on the front lines every day, helping customers, answering all the same questions all the time. And this is something that, is, as I said, was built on 30 years of actual hands-on experience on the front lines, and then introducing a new tool, new way to do things. And in the first place, that was we developed this to save our own time. So as a regulatory consulting company.
Yes, Wouter, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, maybe just to build on those points that indeed faster implementation is valuable. You can also implement something that's more complex, but then you'll also need to continuously and forever spend more time maintaining it. That's also my point, that we now see that we can create really nice information systems with 40 attributes or 100 attributes. What businesses need to understand that all that good stuff needs to be maintained. And I've been, going between business roles and corporate roles, and I had to tell my colleagues, hey, you're asking for all of this, but who's going to maintain it and keep it up to date?
Yes, there's still the human element. Then also in the long run, make it sustainable, you need people who know the system. Yes, indeed. Are there any questions maybe among you? You heard all the presentations, maybe a point which was not clear. You would like to have more, more explored. Could be the case. Or then what my last question would be, what are your respective recommendations to tap the full potential of AI in your specific sector? Just in two phrases.
My recommendation is, pick a use case, pick a target for a project and do it. You heard lots of great presentations today about all different topics, from sales to supply chain to regulatory. Like, your business best and where the opportunity is. Pick one of them, define how it's going to help your business, and focus on that. Otherwise, there's too many things to do. Pick one and execute it. Stay focused.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I would recommend the same thing. I would start with a proof of concept. Just see how it works, understand how it works, see the benefit of it. Start small, don't go broke right away, and get your people more knowledgeable than they are today. Make sure you work on something that's transparent enough that you understand it, and get your feet wet.
And start with, know thyself, know where your strengths and weaknesses are, and be really conscious about, am I trying to leverage a strength, or do I need to offset a weakness?
Yeah. Can I?
Yes, of course, Ben, go ahead.
Yeah. So maybe just from my side, I would say for the chemical industry, use Chemios AI because it's ready to use. We've done that and identified case study for you. And for other integrators and IT partners and so on, we also can provide data. So we are specialized in regulatory extractions and data and validation and so on. If you need data, we are here to help.
Yes, thanks.
From my side, just one thing. don't wait for the next budget cycle to invest in digital. If you don't have the basics, get it done now. Don't wait for your next budget cycle if it has already started. Do something in 2026 that lays a foundation for the next 5 years.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Clear statement. Thank you. In a nutshell, I mean, we as FSCC, we are really proud to have you all as members, as FSCC members. Very impressive what we learned today. And let me, in case there are no other questions or comments, then I would like to wrap up our second session of the FSCC Digital Days 2026. We are well on time, and maybe we give you even back a minute or two. I would like to thank you all for joining, listening, and contributing. And of course, special thanks to our committed, fantastic expert speakers, Hilan, Markus, Chintan, Wouter, and Bojan, who provide us with numerous insights into the complex world of digital transformation and AI. I believe indeed that we as chemical distributors, we sit on a coal mine, maybe even a gold mine, and that today at least we could dig out some golden nuggets for you. I think, yeah, what an uplifting webinar on a Thursday afternoon here in Brussels. Many thanks also to Nina here on my left side for organizing the whole event and her valuable technical support behind the scenes, making sure that the show was running smoothly. Yes, my last word, as usual, is that please stay tuned with our upcoming events. Have a look at FSCC in action and enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye from Brussels.
Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.